Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Hey, look, shame on you, fast Eddie Hearn, you naughty boy. Out here using Deontay Wilder's name to rebuild Anthony Joshua. What a horrible person Eddie Hearn is. Now look, people. Deontay Wilder has been out here, man, out the ring for over a year. Out here, man, really thinking that he was going to get this huge fight. He talked about Usyk. He talked about Fury. He talked about Anthony Joshua. He was talking about different fights. He sounded extremely excited. A new enthusiasm towards the sport of boxing and this last leg of his career, especially when he went over there to Saudi Arabia when Tommy Fury was fighting Jake Paul. I was actually surprised that Deontay Wilder showed up in Saudi Arabia. Hey, let's be real. Deontay Wilder doesn't show up many places. Why the hell would he go to Saudi Arabia? He was invited to come over there so they could have a meeting. That's why Shelly Finkel showed up. You know Deontay Wilder not just going to go to Saudi Arabia to see Jake Paul fight. Deontay Wilder don't care to see no damn Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight. But he got invited to go over there. When he went over there, they kind of laid out a plan and what they had in mind for him and his career. And that's why he had Shelly Finkel with him, just seeing what was doable, if it made sense financially. And while over there were some conversations that were held that made Deontay Wilder feel very confident that he'd be in a big fight this year in particular. Matter of fact, he was talking about 2 or 3 fights, wasn't he? But if you're looking at what happened to him, those things that were promised to him and those things he was talking about, none of it has come to fruition. Now, the fight with Anthony Joshua, I got to say Eddie Hearn, man, has just done Deontay Wilder wrong. Because Eddie Hearn is always out here talking, always talking. And Eddie Hearn's full of hot air, but he's so damn believable, isn't he? But you take a look at when he really started to pipe up about Wilder. That's after Anthony Joshua had taken that second loss to Usyk, and then he came back, was fighting Jermaine Franklin, and the whole time he was talking Deontay Wilder's name because I think he wanted to. It was almost like, yeah, we're just getting AJ ready for Wilder. But don't hold these fights against us. But Wilder is next. Then he put him in there with Helenius, and it was like, okay, this is the build-up. To go for AJ to go fight Wilder, we need to get him in here and get him confident, get his confidence back. This is it. After Helenius, it's going to be Wilder. And we're all sitting here like, okay, boom, Helenius is over. Here it is now, Wilder and AJ. Now all of a sudden it's Flip Hrgovic. Yeah, Wilder's going to be, it should take place next year, first quarter of next year. Let me tell y'all something. That Wilder and AJ fight happening, I don't think it's going to happen. And you know we need to peel the layers back on this. But you know what's crazy? Is Anthony Joshua's been staying very active. Deontay Wilder has not, and I think because Deontay Wilder put all of his eggs in one basket, thinking he gonna fight Usyk, thinking he could fight Fury, thinking he gonna fight AJ, thinking he going to Saudi, gonna make 60 million, 50, 60, 70 million. Probably said, hey, whatever, I'll sit out the ring. All I need is that one fight and I'm good. Well, that one fight's not happening. But just if you say, well, why is Hearn fighting Anthony Joshua like that? Well, Hearn's going to tell you that is because Anthony Joshua says he wants to be more active. Anthony Joshua and Hearn's going to say because Anthony Joshua can do it because he doesn't have those belts. That means he doesn't have mandatory obligations anymore. But I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I think Anthony Joshua is being worked like a racehorse because of how much money has been lost by the zone. And Eddie Hearn has an obligation to save his own ass by making sure that he keeps AJ active to make the most money possible and start to try to repay some of that $1 billion that was wasted. You got to understand, Eddie Hearn was paying Tevin Farmer a few $1 million a fight. He was out here paying Daniel Jacobs a few $1 million a fight. He was out here paying Jesse Vargas a few $1 million a fight. Demetrius Andre a few $1 million a fight. Those are guys, they fight anywhere else, they wouldn't even make $250,000. So when you just, and we're not even digging deep into this, when you take a look at that, makes you wonder, right? All of a sudden, AJ's got to stay super active. All of a sudden, DAZN is raising the prices for their subscriptions. All of a sudden, DAZN is doing pay-per-view now. There's a reason for that. It's not because they want to expand their profit margins and they're doing so well. I think that has a lot to do with them imposing a knee-jerk type reaction and approach to trying to recoup some of the money that was hemorrhaged by Eddie Hearn into bad signings and bad management decisions. But at the end of the day, we got to understand for Deontay Wilder, for Anthony Joshua, if the fight's going to happen, I'm telling you right now, I think we're a year away from that fight happening. Because I'll tell you this, right? Just think about this. Because I'm having a conversation. I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm telling you that I'm just having a conversation. Why would Eddie Hearn put Deontay Wilder in the ring with Anthony Joshua? Why would he say, okay, hey, Deontay, come on over here, get in the ring with AJ. You guys give it a go. And then Deontay Wilder gets in there and tranquilizes him, which is what I think 90% of us believe will happen. Don't get me wrong, AJ can crack too, AJ can fight, but mentally, AJ, he's not there. He get in there with Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder knocks him out cold. What happens to Anthony? What happens to Eddie Hearn? What happens to DAZN? What happens to Anthony Joshua being the show pony that they can take and market and fight, and for him to go out there and still keep making these 20 to 40, $50 million paydays? You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I think Anthony Joshua will always be a pretty decent draw. But if Deontay Wilder comes out there and bangs him up, this is probably the biggest concern. One, I mean, yeah, he can lose and get knocked out. Two is he may take some kind of damage to where he's not the same and can't fight. Like, that's just a reality. Dominic Brazil wasn't the same after he fought no damn Deontay Wilder, was he? So, what's his name too? What's that little fat Haitian one, man? Bermain Stavern. He wasn't the same. So if Deontay Wilder already hits, if he cracks Anthony Joshua, tranquilizes him, and Anthony Joshua doesn't seem to be there mentally anyway right now, then what's next for Eddie Hearn? Old fast Eddie. He can't sell it the public on Anthony Joshua anymore. So yeah, I think it's just part of the sport, but it makes you wonder, who's advising Wilder? You know what I'm saying? Like, my man, are you not, like, for me sitting back here as a fan, I'm watching Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn fight every few months, and Deontay Wilder not doing anything. Like, I'm like, are y'all not seeing this? Why would you? It's like if someone tells me, man, we're both starving, right? And they say, hey, we won't get our next meal until a week from now. You know, and they may, so let's just wait on that fight, man, then we can eat good. It's like, okay. But then every time I look up, this joker went and found some crackers, some little raisins, some little box of nuts, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. He's eating. But yeah, I want this big meal. Yeah, I don't really want to sit here and just, kill my appetite with this little bit of nuts and raisins and crackers, but I'm just going to keep sitting here starving myself, waiting for this big meal. But this person's getting the little snacks and stuff, and he's going to get the big meal. But you stupid, in my opinion, if you sit back and let that happen. Nah, get your ass some of them crackers and raisins and little nuts, man. Get you some snacks, too. That way, when the time comes in to enjoy that feast, you can enjoy it as well. And that's what I think has happened, is Deontay Wilder is sitting back waiting to feast. and gone hungry, where Anthony Joshua's been allowed to keep snacking and, making sure that he's okay. And he's not starving. And neither is Eddie Hearn, neither is DAZN, because they're still out here making their money. But that being said, we're going to see what's next, because there's some weird stuff going on, man. Anthony Joshua beats Helenius, right? Supposedly Dillian Whyte tests positive for some drugs, right? You haven't heard one thing from Dillian Whyte. Not one thing. Dillian Whyte, the biggest mouth in boxing. That man, his mouth bigger than Eddie Hearn's. You ain't heard nothing from Dillian Whyte. Y'all still ain't asking yourself what the hell happened to him? He was given a gag order. You know what the gag order was? It was probably like $5 million for him to shut up and step aside. I'm telling y'all, man, pay attention to what's going on out here. The secret society is real, man. Nothing wrong with no damn Dillian Whyte. Because let me tell you something. There's no way in the world Dillian Whyte just disappears from the sport of boxing. You get an announcement that he tests positive for a bad substance, and you hear nothing from him. No interview, no nothing, not even a report, nothing. This man ain't saying nothing on social media. That's not odd to you? Come on now, get out of here. Then you take a look at AJ. Now he's out there training with Tyson Fury's ex-trainer, Ben Davidson. Come on, man. Come on, man. Now the deal with Saudi Arabia collapses. Everything is in serious jeopardy. Now there's a proposed deal to stage the fight and could be in the first quarter of 2024. Man, y'all come on, man. Tell them, you got to let these people know we're far from slow. We're far from slow, man. But that being said, I think I'm not willing to just foolishly write off the possibility of Wilder and AJ happening. But as far as when it's going to happen, let me tell you something. I don't think that fight's happening for another year. And I think Deontay Wilder and his team, they need to figure out what the hell they're going to do. Because he ain't getting no younger. And out here, I don't care how much you stay in the gym. It's different from actually being in a no-kidding fight. And no Fast Eddie, he going to keep talking. He's going to keep milking things. And he's going to keep Anthony Joshua's name out there, a buzz around him. And he's going to do that as long as he's allowed. And I just think Shelly Finkel and those guys, they need to make a decision on what they're doing with Wilder, because this man wanted to have like 7 more fights. This year he was looking at like 3. This man hasn't had a fight at all. So I don't know what Deontay Wilder's going to do. But I said it in another video. I think Deontay Wilder and Terrence Crawford are going to be in this very similar. I think Crawford's in a similar position to Deontay Wilder, where he should be able to go out there and make huge fights against big names and make a bunch of money. But if he's not fighting someone with an established fan base from another country, the money's just not going to be there that they think they're going to make. So they probably need to go over to the Middle East where they can really make their money. And I really believe that wholeheartedly. And I think Eddie Hearn knows that. They talk about it. Who's Deontay Wilder going to fight outside of Anthony Joshua? Especially in the United States, where he can make the kind of money he'd make fighting Anthony Joshua. All right? They're going to put it on pay-per-view, give him a guaranteed purse of $500,000, and then put it on pay-per-view and say, hey, you can make upwards of 20 plus million. I've told you this before. I've heard Deontay Wilder gets guarantees every fight of like $20 million. I'd have to say, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid on that. Because that means, that Showtime, PBC, and everyone involved would be okay with taking huge losses, because, Deontay Wilder's not generating that kind of money from pay-per-view or anything else. That being said, more to come on Wilder and what he's doing next. But oh, damn, Eddie Hearn, Fast Eddie, shame on you, man. Because all he did was use Deontay Wilder's name to rebuild Anthony Joshua. He even threw them. So he throws Jermaine Franklin in there, right? Because Dillian Whyte fought him. Because supposedly he was setting up Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. Y'all seeing how this works? Supposedly Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte were going to fight. That's why AJ fought Franklin. And then it's like, okay, now Anthony Joshua is supposed to fight Deontay Wilder, right? So because Dillian Whyte supposedly failed a drug test, to put them in there with Hellenius, because now we can build towards the Wilder fight. Now there's no Wilder fight. He's fighting Flip Hergovic. Yo, man, you can't make this stuff up. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie just being Fast Eddie. I'm in the breeze.